Welcome back, pod people, to a brand new episode of Cinema d'Amore. I'm your host, Justin Morgan, and I'm here with...
Chuck.
That's Chuck Phillips. He's with his cat. Who's your cat?
Cat.
Your cat's name's not Cat.
No, Jubilee.
Jubilee after the X-Men?
Yeah.
Nice. We're going to be discussing The Adventures of Mark Twain from 1985, the claymation movie, which did terrible in the box office. And I never watched this movie as a kid. I feel like maybe I did see it on the shelf in like a video store and probably was never interested in it. But I feel like, you know, a lot of parents probably did pick this up for their kids and thought it was just like a nice, friendly family movie, which it kind of is until Satan shows up. And then there's a lot of like existential dread and that kind of stuff throughout the movie. I believe that this is the same team that worked on the Californian Raisins. Or I'm lying to you guys. I mean, I could believe it.
Yeah. Not a lot of people in the claymation business. It's a good chance that it's the same people. Has to be.
Yeah, I guess it's kind of like this like whimsical ride. It kind of goes through the works of Mark Twain, as we said, all claymation. He's with characters from his books, which I guess I am not all that familiar with his work because, you know, The Adventures of Tom Sawyer and The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn are probably the only two I would ever be able to mention in a Jeopardy type game. I would fail. So, yeah, so let's go on a journey together, Charles. Let's get into his magical flying machine, which feels more like a Jules Verne thing, and go off towards our death.
No, it's not. It's not death. He's just flying for a comet.
Halley's Comet.
Yeah. And there's two versions of him. The light and the dark version.
Yeah, which...
Have you heard about that?
They sum it up nicely in the end of the movie, but they don't really say what the hell's going on for most of the movie when you see... I mean, I don't know if you necessarily know it's him. There are shots that look like him, but there's shots where it's like clearly another person that's on board this flying balloon thing. What are they? Aeronauts is what Tom Sawyer keeps saying because he's dumb. I like
can't emphasize enough that he's dumb.
Yeah. So essentially, for some reason, Tom Sawyer, Huckleberry Finn, and is it Becky Thatcher? All characters from the Tom Sawyer and Huckleberry Finn books. It seems to take place in their world, but they're very aware of who Mark Twain is. And Mark Twain, who was born, I think it said like 1835. He was born, it had like a Star Wars text coming up that was explaining that he was born the same time as Halley's Comet passed. And Halley's Comet comes back every 75 years. So he's ready to drink the Kool-Aid and go off into another life when Halley's Comet comes back. But yeah, Tom Sawyer's upset because there's nothing left to explore in the world. And then Becky Thatcher's pretty poorly written and they're misogynist against her. And Huck Finn's kind of dumb.
He's just kind of there.
He just wants to smoke his pipe and...
wants to smoke a pipe and hang out with his frog.
Yeah, which I think the frog's from another book, because we kind of go over that story a little bit too. Yeah. I don't know. I don't... I guess I should put it this way, like, have you seen this movie before, Chuck? Let's just start at that point. Is this a first time watch for you?
Yeah.
So you didn't grow up with it in any way whatsoever, and neither did I.
Yeah.
I can't think of very many claymation movies. I mean, I guess we kind of get into them with Nightmare Before Christmas type stuff, but
It's like Rudolph. They're not all Christmas, but
they're not all Christmas. They're not all Christmas, Dad. Yeah, and it's also like, I mean, it's definitely one of those, it feels like whoever made this is trying to make an acid trip for kids. I would absolutely say that this is for kids. The tough kids, the cool kids. I don't know about the cool kids, but it definitely is trusting kids with a lot of heavy themes and in a weird way. How would you describe the tone to somebody? Describe the tone to the audience. Kind of whimsical.
It's weird. I think there's, like, I don't know. I think the parts that maybe were the most interesting were the parts where it was just like them adventuring on their ship. Like, I was like, oh, this is got, like, it's kind of like it is like a little bit of a fun sci-fi fantasy kind of thing. And then it I would say they tried to just, they definitely loved Mark Twain's books, which I would say the same thing. I really don't know a ton of Mark Twain other than Huck Finn and Tom Sawyer. Like, I know he wrote a bunch of stuff, but I've never read most of it. Which he does have a good line in it that is a very, very true line. Oh, it's a classic. What's that mean? That's a book that everyone wants to say they've read, but no one actually wants to read. And I'm like, is he describing Mark Twain's work in some way? Like it's like, those are books people want to say they've read, but they don't actually read them. So yeah, I wasn't familiar with any of the stories other than Tom Sawyer and Huck Finn. And that is a lot of what this is just retellings of those stories. And some are more successful. The Satan one is interesting. I read what the plot of that one is, and it's not exactly what it is in the book. It is supposed to be like a character that says that he's an angel and does like evil things, but the what I read about, like, there's multiple versions of that story because he rewrote it a few times, and it almost sounds like he's more like the genie in like a lot of those type stories. Like, it's like, I wish my friend weren't suffering anymore, and it's like, okay, he's just dead then. Like, it's stuff like that. Like, it's like he just like twists your words to make things worse. Like, I thought that was pretty interesting. The story of the guys racing the frog was like, yeah, pretty basic. Felt similar in tone to like the tortoise and the hare or something like that. Like his version of something like that. And then I think where it dragged the most was like the Adam and Eve story, because that's like, and that's a big chunk. He goes back to that story multiple times, and it's just not that interesting. And the voiceover for both Adam and Eve is like not good. It feels like first time people that are just reading this like cold off of a sheet. Like, they're not emoting at all very well. And I feel like that, yeah, the tone drops dramatically when they're doing those sections. Most of the other things I didn't have like a super huge problem with. I thought they were kind of entertaining, but it just really drops when it's going to that story again and again.
Yeah, I don't know if he had anything to do with, so I assume that Homer the Frog is one of his earlier stories. If he's in any of the Tom Sawyer books, I don't remember that frog. I do remember Injun Joe. He was a character in Tom Sawyer. I don't know if he had his own book. I guess it would be a weird book to have. He was in Tom Sawyer. I think he dies in Tom Sawyer. He falls in a cave or some shit like that. And the mysterious strangers, what the angel, aka Satan, is based off of. And yeah, I don't know what the Adam and Eve stuff is. Like, did he write a book about Adam and did he do his own interpretation of the book of Genesis?
Yeah, that's what I read. That is what it is. I mean, I don't know how accurate that is to what his book is. I would assume it's probably close, but I think it was listed as two separate books. Like there are two books that both are like the Diary of Adam, and the other one's like the Diary of Eve or something like that. So apparently he did write those.
I do love the animation. I thought the animation was fun even in the Adam and Eve parts, but I don't think that, like you said, something about it just felt like they, at least the voice actors, are getting very tired of to doing these roles. I mean, it's very basic. I don't think that it gets very like in depth or deep until the end of that story kind of becomes the Mark Twain wanting his wife. Like these people have lived so long and they know that they're going to die, and each of them are like hoping they'll die before the other one. And then Adam becomes Mark Twain in Mark Twain's version. So I guess they're very blatantly trying to say that Mark Twain is, his DNA is in all of his characters and even the dark stuff, which I think is kind of weird because when they introduced the other Mark Twain and he's like, I'm the bad Mark Twain. he's like, he's not necessarily evil. He's just saying that he's like all the things that you don't want to reveal about yourself. He's like, every person's the moon and I'm the dark side of the moon. So, which I guess is another good analogy. I really hope this is his writing. I hope they pulled some of this stuff from the things that he's written. Like conceptually it makes sense, and I think it's kind of fun. Some of it's also kind of disturbing. It's not just the Satan character who is a very weird designed character of like a mask not on anything, but the kids kind of freak me out a little bit because it makes me think of that art style where people can't draw kids well, so they're pretty much just like short adults, and they kind of look like the animated design for The Hobbit. Like they have huge feet and they're short and stocky. But I like some things too where like I don't know if, when I say some things, I like the animation style for movement in some cases. The story with the frog that you said, that Homer, that's kind of basic. I like how every time he jumped, he kind of like turned into a blob of clay to move from like spot to spot. Also, is like, what? And he's like just chilling with them in the beginning too, on their raft. I don't know. What do you think about Mark Twain as a character? He's not exactly guiding the story like a narrator. Like, yeah, he's telling his own stories more or less. They kind of have this like magical element of having doorways or access to his stories through like almost like portals. That's where we see the Injun Joe thing where he's like all deranged looking and they're like, I don't want to go in there. And I'm like, does Tom Sawyer know that story? Like, when was Tom Sawyer picked out of the Tom Sawyer books? Because this
Yeah,
is
they do kind of like mess with that a little bit because I think like Mark Twain says things like oh, got to move that one. That one's not published yet. Like he knows his own future. He talks about like, oh, I need to save that book. That's a
Mhm.
future one.
Yeah, that'll
Yeah,
be
but it
published
is.
after I'm gone, which goes into your like if they had multiple drafts and versions of it, like did they publish it and then they're like, oh shit, he wrote this one after, so this is the most updated version. I'm
It
sorry.
is. It is weird. You're right about it being. Everything about this movie does feel more. It feels way more sci-fi than anything Mark Twain did. Like a lot of his stories and most of like what at least again, at least what I'm familiar with. Maybe he was more sci-fi and things that I haven't read. I don't think so because he was like he kind of like predates a lot of that stuff from when he was writing. But yeah, it is a weird tone that they go for. That he's the I feel like it almost like would make more sense if it was just I don't know, he was in like a hot air balloon that was blowing around and he was like, "Oh, if I run into the comet." But they're like, no, they give him like a futuristic machine that has like has portals that open to other dimensions. Then we do also get that weird random story of the guy that ends up in the alien universe or something like that in like their version of heaven.
Mm-hmm.
And
Oh yeah,
he's
yeah,
super
yeah.
confused and doesn't understand. He's like, I don't understand. This doesn't seem like heaven to me. Where's my halo? Where's my Bible? Where's my harp?
Yeah, he does say he's not interested in. He's been to every continent that he would ever want to be go to, but the only other places that interest him are heaven and hell. Yeah,
Heaven
and
for the
yeah, I think
climate,
of him.
hell for the company. Which again feels like that probably is like a quote that he said at some point in his life. Like that probably is like a random quote he said at some point.
Yeah, I get him as like he's like the great American novelist, and I kind of took it as he did like more grounded things. Obviously, The Mysterious Stranger's not as grounded, but I never read it, so maybe to some extent it could be, you know? Somebody's telling you that they're an angel and you're not seeing anything supernatural. Like, I guess the story could still take place in our world. Anyone could be like, yeah, I'm an angel. But the reason I picked this movie was I just happened to come across that scene and just that line of like, what are you? I'm an angel. What's your name? Satan. I'm like, what? Like, what the hell? It's so funny. It's such a
There's
great,
like, that's a pretty unfortunate name.
it's a really great. And then I saw it was like a kids thing. It's on Amazon Prime right now. I don't know how long it's been there, how long it's gonna stay there.
I mean, it was on YouTube as well. I think it's like, it might be like public domain or something like that.
It can't even be. I don't know. They just gave it
If no
away. They're like,
one,
we don't care. We're not suing anybody.
yeah, if no one renews the copyright on it.
Is that where you watched it then? YouTube?
No, I watched it on Amazon, but I saw
Oh,
it
okay.
was, it popped up when I searched it. It popped up immediately and was like 1 hour and 24 minutes on YouTube.
Yeah. Again, not a long movie. It doesn't really feel long, except for maybe the Adam and Eve stuff ish in the middle. That seems to take up like a huge chunk of the story. It's very weirdly like philosophical. Like it takes the religious aspects of Adam and Eve and kind of makes it into, I don't want to say more realistic, but more like science. Is it science based? Would you? I don't know.
It just is more like I don't know. I guess I would say more grounded. I like yeah, kind of like you said. It does kind of it really doesn't reference the most religious aspect other than like the very beginning when it's like God creating the
Mm-hmm.
universe and then he like creates Adam and it's like
Like, oh, him
it is
waking
kind of
up.
like funny. He's like talking to himself.
Yeah.
He's like Adam's gonna like this.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, he's gonna think this is cool.
When God has to wake Adam up and it's just a human hand. It's just like the clay, the animator's hand, just like poking at him. Do you think that the claymation like suits this story?
I mean, it's not bad.
I mean,
It definitely reminds me more of like it's a lot closer to like Gumby in terms of like
yeah.
the animation than like most people. I feel like anyone that thinks of like stop motion and claymation, which are similar but are two different things. Like instead of I think like more like stop motion is just very detailed models that are moved by hand, whereas claymation is like they're molding these things as they move. So yeah, like you said, how like something in like mid frame will just turn into like a blob of clay and then turn back into whatever it's supposed to be. So they are two distinct animation styles, and this may be like the last big claymation thing before anyone went to like full on stop motion for something like that, like with Nightmare Before Christmas or James and the Giant Peach. Like I don't know of anything that's really been made in claymation since then.
Though I don't either. And if they did do it nowadays, I wouldn't be surprised if it was computer animated to look like clay.
Yeah.
Something like that. I'm just trying to think. I mean, I wonder why they chose this story, The Adventures of Mark Twain. I did see there was an older movie with the same name, so I don't know if it's like a similar concept. Maybe it's just easier to be more whimsical at that time in the 80s with like an animated format. I don't know why clay. Maybe it was just somebody that's like, this is my medium, and I'm just looking for the perfect story to tell, and I'm gonna go with the Mark Twain story. Because like it easily could be a live action story.
It could be a live action story, or could have definitely made go even further into like fantasy, like adapt an actual like fantasy story or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
I would assume the person just really, really loved Mark Twain.
Or do the mysterious stranger type thing.
Yeah.
Maybe they didn't want to make a kids movie, and they're like, God damn it, you're making Mark Twain. And they're like, all right, fine. So be it. I won't sneak anything in there.
But like I've done the raisins already. Where can I go from there?
Yeah. You know, like there are some cool effects in this too, where when they do the passage of time, and you know, like especially when God's creating Earth, and you see like random stuff start to mold and become different things, like shape shift, and I don't know. They really seem like they were having fun with it. I do like to. I guess Adam and Eve's the prime example of it in this story, but like they actually start aging the clay. So like Adam actually starts to, like, when he has kids and stuff, he's starting to look older. They're like distinctly making him look older. So I kind of appreciated that. And yeah, I kind of liked how imperfect it was. It was just like, we did our best. I don't really know what more you want. I actually wouldn't be surprised if this is something that our former host Lexi brought up at some point. I mean, I don't have any recollection of it, but you go back, it's probably like, oh, The Adventures of Mark Twain, and or just like, yeah, whatever that is. Yeah, I mean, I definitely would like to see more claymation. But like you, I don't really know how much we could discuss if we could maybe bring it back to an older time, because I don't really think there's a lot of, like, even this movie when it started, they advertise it like it's VistaVision. They're like, it's in claymation, copyright, you know, all rights reserved, that type of thing. How many people would you recommend this movie to, Chuck?
It's a very, very specific. It's like I'd recommend it to maybe 5.
I would be recommending it to people just because of how wild it actually ends up being. But I don't know if I'd be able to sell it without, like, just, you know, straight up telling the people what interests me the most.
Yeah.
I'd be like, there's a great Satan scene in there that you're going to love.
It definitely just falls, I think, into the category of, yeah, like it's not bad. I thought it was good. It was entertaining, but I think there's just so many. Probably at the time that it came out, it probably was considered like, well, man, that's like crazy. Though we've never seen animation that unique and interesting. But I feel like it's just been surpassed so much since then by anything else you've seen stop motion, like any of the Leica movies, like Coraline, Kubo, any of those things that you've seen now. It makes it, I don't want to say it like makes it look terrible, but like it ages very, very poorly when you look back on it.
Even like Wallace and Gromit, it looks bad in comparison.
Yeah, yeah. There's so many other movies. If I wanted to tell someone like, oh, you should watch like a stop motion or claymation type movie, this would be like way down on the list, only because it's just not. It doesn't have the polish that a lot of these other movies do.
I would say though, if you're just looking for a night to chill, maybe you have weed or something, The Adventures of Mark Twain might be worth checking out at that point in time. I was impressed with how easy it was to find. I thought, no way am I going to be able to find this movie, and it was just like, yeah, it's pretty much everywhere. No one's looking for it. It's sad. But yeah, it does. It has like this existential like dread thing where Mark Twain's just trying to get up to Halley's Comet, which I mean, just shows that Mark Twain doesn't understand how the world works. But anyways, it does have like a weird sequence that's like part 2001 and part some weird fantasy epic where like the front of the ship is like fighting. I don't think he understands what a comet is, but like but when they're up in like going into it, I guess, and it's like more fantasy driven and it just like rocks and I don't know. But the front of the ship that's just fighting them with her sword. And I do like the kids thinking like, are we all going to die? If I was Mark Twain, I would have said, you should have thought about that before you got on my ship. JK, you're going to be fine. You can have my ship.
Like, we're gonna destroy the ship. And he's like, I was gonna give it to you. Oh, maybe we shouldn't destroy it then.
I do like the way too, whenever they had that like the air bag's gonna explode and kill us all. And the only one that could get it was that frog who hopped up by the button, but then it was like evil Mark Twain who ashed out a cigar and it scared the frog into pushing the button. I did, and all the dread that all the characters have, like, fuck, he didn't do it. And they're just like, yeah, he was just a frog, so.
It was like a 1 in a million chance that he was actually gonna do that, so.
Yeah. But, yeah, I don't know. I guess it's kind of like, definitely check it out. I went in for the claymation. It's really like juggling some like heavy themes, hope and despair, stuff like that.
Yeah.
I wouldn't avoid it. It actually kind of, I think the thing I liked the most about the movie was as I was watching it, it made me think of like the stuff that we watched as kids, where it's like, who in the hell made this for us? Because they would not be making this movie for kids today. Like there's like a philosophical level here that it's entwined in the story. And I feel like everything else is like kind of
there's
dumbed down.
there's philosophical levels in animation today. You don't watch the Toy Story movies and feel that existential drama.
Yeah, they do. They do get me with Pixar. Does get me every once in a while. Maybe it's having a comeback of sorts. Like I was thinking the other day, on television we had on Bolt. I don't know if you remember that, like rough CG animation that Disney made, and it's like those types of movies that were like the more of the like the light fluff for kids that didn't want to be deep. And I feel like Pixar kind of started that way, but they I guess when you work on something for 3 or 4 years, you gotta put some meaning into it, and that's kind of what happens with those. I would like to know too. I wonder how long it took them to even fucking make this movie, or were they just making it and just hoping that they would get the rights to it or something? Just like,
it had to have taken a while.
You're in your basement.
These are years. I don't know of anything that's stop motion that's not like at least a few years.
Mm-hmm. Because you get the concept, and then you got to build everything, and then film it, and then voiceovers and stuff. It's a lot of work, but I think that art style just I even if it, like you said, the stop motion, not necessarily the claymation. I love the Wes Anderson movies and that he's done that way. So like I would like to see more people try to like jump into like animation style. I really would be like, just bring back some ugly ass claymation. Like, let's just do it. Me and you, Chuck.
Make it
everyone at work, like you go into Lowe's to buy some stuff for the claymation, and they're like, Chuck, we haven't seen you in a while. What have you been doing? You're like, oh, I'm making a claymation movie in my. It's gonna be big someday.
I mean, it is. We referenced it earlier. Tim Robinson's son in the chair company. That's kind of like the joke there. He's working on that stop motion project for like weeks or whatever, and he's like, well, this is what I got, and it's like 2 seconds of animation. like, oh, that's it? And it's like, well, yeah, you're gonna add some more to it later.
I didn't really think it had anything to do with it, but now when you bring it up too, maybe the claymation was in the back of my head from that show. This season of Cinema d'Amore is actually everything's based off the chair company in some way. Yeah. We're not connecting movie to movie anymore. We're connecting everything back to the chair company.
It's all about Tim Robinson.
We'll get him on the podcast. We'll get him to talk about the Adventures of Mark Twain. It'll be called The Adventures of Mark Twain with Tim Robinson. Yes, we're doing it again, but this time we have Tim Robinson. I hope he has some Google alert on, and this brings him to the podcast. It's like, what are they talking about now? I'm excited to see where you go next. Although we're not connecting anymore, so I don't know. You straight up Huck and... what was it called? Huck and Finn? Tom and Huck?
Yeah. Tom and Huck, the one with Jonathan Taylor Thomas.
Yeah, and
I think that is just Tom and Huck.
Tom and Huck, and it had that girl from She's All That. Not She's All That. Is that what it was called? Yeah, She's All That. And then Huck's dead. Who played him? I can't remember.
Brad Renfro.
Yeah, he died a few years ago. Well, he probably died like halfway between when that movie came out and now.
2008, yeah. More than a few years ago.
I corrected it. I'm like, it was somewhere in between. Maybe we'll have to find that one. I think that was something that I watched a lot. Basically, it comes down to like what, for us, for our age group, like what movies did you like stick with you the most? And it's like, oh, it's that movie that my family had on VHS. That was like the only movie that we had, so I had to watch it over and over and over again.
Actually, this year for the podcast, every episode is just another version of a Mark Twain story.
Is there that many?
I'm sure there's enough.
How about we just do existential dread as the ongoing theme? I mean, it's definitely in this movie. Kind of, yeah, it was in the last movie, in Life of Chuck, so...
Yeah, we could keep it going.
I always feel like it's probably some element that's almost in the DNA of every movie. We'll see what you pick in 2 weeks. We'll be back in February. Thanks for listening, everybody. Greatly appreciate it. Tell all your friends to check out the Adventures of Mark Twain episode. Find the movie and try not to tell them about it. We're Cinema d'Amore. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter to stay up to date with news and information on upcoming episodes. Find us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Podbean, Spotify, Amazon Music, Audible, Pandora, Alexa, or iHeartRadio. It would be greatly appreciated if you subscribe to our podcast on your platform of choice. We also appreciate feedback, so rate us, review us, and let us know what you think. And above all else, thank you for listening.